What's up, y'all? Slow Mo is back with another video, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy this one. Today we're going to talk about PlayStation Studios' best developer. And no, I'm not talking about Naughty Dog. I'm talking about Insomniac Games. Hey, wait, look. Calm down. Calm down. Don't downvote this video and slander me on Twitter quite yet. Hear me out. Insomniac has proven that it doesn't matter the IP, the genre, or the publisher. They will deliver on a quality title. And this is something that all of PlayStation Studios can boast about. Going into next generation, Sony is going to be really relying heavily on Insomniac's versatility, their quality, and development speed that they do their games, which is second to none, as the rest of their first-party studios really aren't in a position to be able to release new content anytime soon. And what are these games I'm talking about? I'm talking about Ratchet and Clank's Rift Apart and Spider-Man Miles Morales, two games that Sony will be relying on to sell their PlayStation 5. But let's get started, and let's start with Ratchet and Clank first. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is a sequel to Insomniac Games' 2016 reimagining of the original title. It's a third-person platformer that sees players take on the role of either Ratchet, a Lombax who knows how to fight and repair, and Clank, his robot sidekick. Rifts have begun popping up across the world, and it'll be up to Ratchet and Clank to get to the bottom of just what's causing the rifts and how to stop them. At some point in the game, the two are split up, with Clank meeting up with a female Lombax in another dimension. Insomniac Games has confirmed the female Lombax will be playable, although not too much else is known about her quite yet. Now, Ratchet and Clank will, as usual, feature platforming, third-person shooting action, and rail grinding through different areas. The new element of this game and new element to the gameplay are the rifts and being able to jump through different dimensions. With the introduction of rifts is a new tool called the Rift Tether. It allows you to grab onto rifts in the environment and use them to teleport around the area, and can be helpful as an added dimension to combat. There isn't a release date yet, but expected to be released somewhere in the PlayStation 5 launch window. Now, the second game they're developing, and somewhat more controversial, is Spider-Man Miles Morales. Regardless of what you may have heard, this game is a standalone game. It's not a DLC. If it was a DLC, you need to purchase the 2018 Spider-Man game to play it. You don't. So if anyone tells you otherwise, they may have an axe to grind about this game being exclusive to the PlayStation 5 and not available on the PlayStation 4. The game has been likened to the Lost Legacy game in the Uncharted series. This isn't an indication that the length of the game is the exact length of Lost Legacy, just that it will be shorter than the 2018 Spider-Man game. This spinoff will focus on Miles Morales, who you've played somewhat in a few missions in the other Insomniac Spider-Man game, but this time he does have spider powers like Peter Parker, and Peter Parker will be his mentor. The game will take advantage of the new features of the DualSense controller. For example, creative director Brian Horton revealed will be hinting to players which direction attacks are coming from by providing haptic feedback from the appropriate direction. He continues, for instance, as you hold down square to do a venom punch, you will feel Spider-Man's bioelectricity crackle across from the left side of the controller, culminating in the right side on impact. There will also be multiple modes to play this game in. One mode will feature advanced graphical features for next generation consoles like ray tracing, while there will also be an optional performance mode that allows players to run the game at 4K resolution and 60 frames per second. But who exactly is Insomniac Games? And how have they arrived here in this role as being the foremost first-party developer early on for the PlayStation 5? Insomniac Games was founded by Ted Price in 1994. Their very first game was Disruptor, a first-person shooter, which was published by Universal Interactive Studios and Interplay. Disruptor was released on the first PlayStation back in 1996. Now, it received decent reviews, but nothing like the reception their next game in 1998 got, and that game was Spyro the Dragon. Insomniac made 3 Spyro games before they made the first Ratchet and Clank on the PlayStation 2. Ratchet and Clank came out in 2002. And Ratchet and Clank was a massive success. From there, Insomniac made more Ratchet and Clank games, but they also established yet another brand new IP, Resistance Fall of Man, for the PlayStation 3. It seems as if Insomniac was able to successfully launch a brand new IP for every PlayStation generation. And granted, they were not even a first-party studio of Sony Interactive Entertainment at that time, but they did enjoy a close business relationship. But it was in 2013 where Insomniac began to branch out beyond just the PlayStation platform. They dropped Fuse, a third-person perspective action shooter that came out on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. And Fuse received a mixed reception from reviewers and gamers alike, but it was in 2014 where Insomniac really showed their talent as a developer with Sunset Overdrive. Sunset Overdrive is an action-adventure shooter that combined elements from games like Jet Set Radio and Prince of Persia and created a completely unique style of gameplay that elevated Insomniac beyond just a studio who could make platformers and first-person shooters. It was around this time that Sony approached Insomniac with making a Marvel superhero game. And you'd be shocked to realize CEO Ted Price wasn't all too excited to do it. Up to that point, the studio had only worked on original properties and had never really considered working on someone else's IP. Marvel wanted Insomniac to make their own version of one of their characters, and even allowed Insomniac to take their pick. Spider-Man quickly became the front runner internally, and the rest is history. Insomniac SpiderMan has been by far their most successful game. It sold 3.3 million copies in just 3 days, and as of August 2019 has sold 13 million copies worldwide. It's success like this that allows Sony to feel comfortable with Insomniac leading the way into next generation. Now you may be asking yourself how Insomniac is able to deliver high quality games in different genres the way that they have. A lot of that has to do with their approach to game development. Internally, the company's developers are given much creative freedom. Uninvolved staff members can comment on the game's design. Price summed up their approach to development perfectly in an interview with IGN. He said, "We want to fix problems. A lot of us are driven by a desire to find creative solutions for what are always intractable problems in development. We know on every project we're going to run into roadblocks. Usually there are different roadblocks. What actually has become fun over the years for a lot of us here is to figure out new ways to blow through those roadblocks. That is, for me, just as much fun as participating in game design because it's more social design. It's more figuring out what we all respond to well and what solutions work in such a fluid environment. I think because we're dedicated to constantly coming up with better ways of doing things, whether they work or not, it does help people here look past the problems that we all encounter on a daily basis in development. And they feel confident that no matter how stressful it gets, no matter how challenging a particular project is, we're going to figure out a way to make it work. It isn't just a philosophy. While other studios may opt to license a game engine like Unreal to ease their journey from pre-production of a game to launch, Insomniac instead chooses to build custom tools to make sure they have exactly what is necessary to develop their games at a high quality and as quickly as possible. Listen to Chief Technology Officer Sean McCabe explain it.
The benefit of developing our own tools and technology is that we can customize what we do very quickly. So you take Spider-Man, for example. We need to be able to realize this fantasy of swinging through a dense, populated, and fascinating environment. Given that target, we have the ability and the flexibility and agility to go back and build the technology necessary to get us there. When I look to the future, the thing that excites me the most is the opportunity for Insomniacs to be content pioneers. And by that, I mean being the people on the forefront of solving the most challenging creative and technical problems. If you have an idea at Insomniac and you really want to move things forward and act on it, you're probably going to get the chance to do it.
That not enough? Listen to Principal Engine programmer Abdul Bazarati explain how they customize an engine for each game they develop.
Programmers specialize in graphics, so whatever you see on the screen, chances are I have something to do with it. What's really unique about the core department here is we develop our own internal custom engine. We can receive feature requests from artists, programmers, and other departments, and we can brainstorm it and prototype something really quick.
So it's with this knowledge of their workflow and company philosophy that I believe Insomniac is not just the best developer to take on licensed IP, the best at adapting to what the game requires and building the tools and engines to make sure the game is developed quickly, but simply their very best studio. And that isn't any shade to Naughty Dog or Sony Santa Monica, Guerrilla Games, or Sucker Punch. They've all done amazing work, but none of them have delivered high quality games in so many different genres on such small development cycles. And that's why Insomniac Games is invaluable to PlayStation Studios going into this next generation. If you made it to the end of this video, I thank you and appreciate you listening to my ramblings. I really do. But what do you guys think? Have I convinced you that Insomniac is the best PlayStation developer? Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you liked the video, hit the dislike button if you didn't, it's all good. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content like this in the future. Peace.